Thank you for joining me. I am Matt Minich. This is Bengals Chalk Talk here on Orange and Black Insider. We're going to get right into it because we've got a lot of film to cover today, a lot to talk about. And really, what I was planning on getting to this at some point, but what triggered it this week was Zac Taylor coming out and saying that they believe that the offensive line is in better shape than people think it's in. And I'll be honest with you, I had a little bit of an indication of this. I had a feeling, at least at the right tackle spot, I think fans, a lot of mock drafts out there have the Bengals going tackle in the second round, which I think would be a great idea. I think there is going to be some phenomenal talent potentially available in the second round at pick 33 at the tackle position. But I think that they like Bobby Hart better than we do. And that, appears to be the case, at least from what Taylor's saying. And maybe they feel a little bit better about their guard position. So let's take a look at that and some of the what has happened over the course of the year. So we're going to look at film going all the way back to week 3 and really throughout the year and try and look at how this group has evolved and the job that Coach Jim Turner has done with this group. That's the other thing. I think a lot of people were upset this week that Callahan went to Cleveland. I'm definitely not happy about that myself. You never want a good coach in Cleveland. I'm going to be even more upset after the Super Bowl when they announced Joe Woods, who, it was my pick for defensive coordinator last year. When he goes to Cleveland, likely next week, that is going to be a big thorn in my side. 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. So let's, but let's get into this, and see the job that Jim Turner has done and what the guys that are there have done. So first off, a couple things. We're not going to talk about the toss play because I already covered that. So if you go back, you can find, really, I've talked about it. I did a video on it. John Sheeran did an article on some of the gap scheme stuff that they were switching out to overall, and how that helped to improve the offensive line. So that's kind of been done by Cincy Jungle before. So we're going to, talk about some of the other stuff. We'll talk about the run game and the pass game. The pass game, obviously a big issue with pass protection. This team was near the bottom of the league and gave up an average of 3 sacks per game. And interestingly enough, though, and we talk about evolution over the season, they only gave up 1.7 sacks per game over the last 3 games of the season. So interesting, to note there. Over the last 3 games, that puts them tied for the 6th best offensive line in the league. And over the course of the year, it would put them at the 6th best if that was something that they were able to maintain for the year. So 1.7 is, is pretty solid. So, what is that? And again, we're going to see how they've, changed over the course of the year and how they've gotten better. Bobby Wagner is another issue. When we talk about the run game, the week 1 when they played the Seahawks, they did not block Bobby Wagner once. And that's a big example of how this group improved right away anyway. They weren't blocking him at all. And it was clear that they were told, block the D-line, and they weren't getting off their combo blocks. They were staying on those and not getting up to the linebacker. I don't think they blocked Bobby Wagner once in that game. But they fixed that. They evolved a little bit. So I think there's been some positive things, much like the defense, which I talked about in last week's video. Definitely check that out. There's been some positive things. They just haven't happened as quickly as we would like them to. So we're going to start off here, week 3 versus the Buffalo Bills. And we're going to get a zone run play with Gio Bernard in the backfield. All right, and I'm going to try and not miss the play here. All right, yeah, and there it goes. So starting on the left side, we'll just ignore Andre Smith like he's not there because he's not there. But the left guard is Billy Price, and the center is Trey Hopkins. Trey Hopkins does a great job, really puts his nose on that 2 technique, who's lined up inside shoulder of Price, and drives him. Now, this is a combo block, all right? And you're going to catch me sometimes I call it a zone double, all right? That, most people refer to it as a combo, so I try and go to what most people call it. But here, with this combo block, Price, he's going to get that initial shot on the 2 technique, but Hopkins has got it, and he's got to get off of that faster and get up to that linebacker. All right, Hopkins has got it right there. Get off and get up to the linebacker. All right, now on the backside, left guard John Miller, and right guard John Miller, and the right tackle Bobby Hart. Now Hart has a 4-eye lined up inside of him. All right, the defensive tackle is lined up just inside shoulder of Hart. All right, so Hart comes off. He's really got to reach that guy, and this is a zone combo. But Miller's going to need to get up to the linebacker depth. All right, and that'll only change if that guy tries to stun inside. And really comes into Hart, tries to get into the A gap if he's coming into Miller. So Hart's got to reach that. All right, and you see Miller's going to put an arm there, check it, and then works up. So very good job, really initially by both these guys. They get that guy reached. Miller gets up there, gets a shot. It extends his hips, and is getting a little bit of movement there on Tremaine Edmonds, but both lose their guy, right? So both those guys coming off. Hart's the worst here. He's got that guy reached. That guy comes off real bad. Edmonds kind of backdoors it and is able to get there. I don't, if Hart's block is better, I don't know if it matters that Miller lets him go front side there. So overall, they got to hold those blocks. They got to do a better job. It limits it to 3 yards. It puts them in a 3rd and long, and they end up punting after that. So we're going to go a little bit later in this quarter, and as I've talked about, I like to skip around a little bit quarter to quarter. But when I can avoid it, I am not going to. I don't want to see the faces of the guys I'm talking about. So I want to see these butt shots, because the butt shots are the easiest to learn from. It kind of helps you get like a first person point of view on things. But now we're going to look at some pass protection. We're specifically going to look at that right side. I think on the left side, we know we've got Jonah coming in next year. We've already got a 1st-round pick coming in Jonah Williams. So we're going to focus here on the right side specifically. Now, on the right side, Hart pass sets, all right, and then that guy really bull rushes him, and he has trouble anchoring, all right. So when I say anchor, all right, it's just what it sounds like, all right. It's putting your sinking your hips, putting your butt down, and now getting pushed back. He's really getting pushed back there, all right. Miller. All right, there's a guy who's lined up wide again in a 4-eye, and that guy stunts all the way inside Miller. Okay, gives it a little shake. Miller is turned, setting to him. Probably could be a little bit more square there. It would help him on this, and then he gets a little messed up. He's got his front foot, the way he's trying to turn. His hips are locked out, and he gets a push on him, but not much doing there. All right, so a struggle there, and not a great job in pass protection by those guys. All right, we're going to go just a couple plays later in this drive, and we saw the power move against Hart. Now we're going to see the speed against Hart. All right, they got a wide edge rusher, and really he kind of sets wide to him, but not really gaining enough depth. And that guy's getting to that edge on him. That guy doesn't do a great job, really getting off of it, but, gets a step on him, gets in pretty good position. So, you want to see Hart setting for a little bit more depth. And then there's a twist coming here. Now, look, a basic rule of football, it kind of works for coverages. It works for O-line play too. If somebody's coming in, somebody's coming out. A lot of times if we see a guy stunning, you don't want to chase him because something's going to be coming back to you from that side, or there's going to be another guy coming from the same direction. But either way, there's going to be something coming there. So Miller, once again, has this 4-eye, big stun inside of him. Again, this is just 2 plays later after he got beat on it. All right, now he is committed to it and he's chasing it. And what happens is they stun around. All right. So now Miller, he's got to be the guy picking up this stun as these guys come back around. All right. As the linebacker and really the nose tackle who was it was lined up in a 2 technique inside of Miller originally. All right, he kind of stunts across and then comes back around. It's a really interesting thing. He goes across the center and then boop loops around as Miller chases in on that. So not a good job sorting that out. I think movement was a big problem for this team at the beginning of the year on the offensive line. Now Hopkins does a great job. All right, Hopkins sets. All right, because he knows that Miller is thinking about that 4-eye. All right, and he is setting to the 2. All right, to the 2-eye that's inside of Miller. He sets to him. Guy crosses his face. He comes right back to it. All right, and as that disappears, he picks up the second guy coming. All right, who's that 4-eye that's coming all the way across. So Hopkins does a really good job on this. All right, so then we're going to go to week 5 against the Cardinals. All right, so second quarter against the Cardinals. Hart does a pretty good job against his zone play. He works up to the linebacker. Miller's doing a good job. He's got a 3 technique outside of him. He gets up on that block. All right, really buries that guy, gets that guy pancaked. Trey Hopkins does a great job. Works up to the Mike linebacker. Boom, gets a huge shot on him. So very good by Hopkins. All right, Jordan's the problem here, though. All right, Michael Jordan is the left guard. And he's got a 1 technique that he's got to get reached. Really, his first step is kind of forward. He's not really getting on the zone track that he wants to be on. And, that's going to make it hard for him to reach it. And really, that guy gets right off and is able to get in there and show him be able to make the play. So got to get a better look there out of got some struggles as well. So we'll go a little bit later in this same drive, and we're going to see a pass. Okay, so this is a 3rd and 5 play. So, pretty much a passing situation in the NFL, right? They know what's coming. We know we got to protect. All right, so where's the pressure coming from here? All right, they're moving guys around. This makes it difficult. Showing guys in different positions. Again, we see a twist coming as well. All right, Hart's going to pass that again. He's pass setting a little bit, more wide than deep. Miller comes to the inside. There's nothing on that side of the formation for him. Sees that twist, is able to pick it up. It looks like he's a little slow coming off it, but he's still able to pick it up. Hopkins is on the nose, and then he gets a blitz in that A gap. He really picks that up too. All right. And then Jordan looking pretty good on this twist. All right. So we just saw Jordan struggle, but he's got 1 guy stunting right into his gap right away, it appears. All right. And he passes him off. He gets a shot on him. He passes him off into Hopkins. And then as the second guy loops around, Jordan's able to pick that up. Michael Jordan. All right, we'll go into the 4th quarter now. So we'll see a lot of Jordan in this game. We're seeing some early Jordan stuff here. One of his earliest games, as a rookie for this team. All right, again, we're seeing a zone run play. All right, this one's wider though. This is more of a stretch. Now they started to run like a toss with a pole. All right, later in the game, or excuse me, later in the year. All right, here they're tossing the ball, but I wouldn't call this a toss play, at least not in the same ilk as what they ran late in the year. All right, they do get a little crack action, but Hart comes around, again looking to work up to the next level. You get Miller trying for a reach as well. Really, those guys aren't doing much out there. And Miller's slow, bad angle, and he ends up costing them on this play because that's he gets the penalty that knocks him back to 2nd and 19 when it could have been 3rd and 2. So it's a good call off because of that. All right. Hopkins does a good job. He gets a shot, but he's really trying to reach that guy and work up. Michael Jordan on the backside. Good angle. All right. Great angle to get up to that backer. All right. The backer is able to defeat his cut block. All right. By putting his hands on him and staying up. But it's a good job getting up there overall by Jordan. And definitely, like I said, he had some struggles during the year. He wasn't grading out well. There were a lot of people that were critical of him early in the year. But he showed some good things as well. He definitely showed some flashes as well, even early in the year. So pass protection again. All right. And again, Hart looking kind of wide in his set. And, that guy's really getting to his hip real well. So I just like to see that a little bit more square and a little bit more, I'm sorry, this is a zone team, so it wouldn't necessarily be square. But just, to gain a little bit more depth when you're expecting those speed rushers. Miller gets in there and gets locked on that one technique. All right. Now, Jordan gets bull rushed, and he is the one really getting pushed back into the quarterback. Dalton gets rid of it pretty quickly, so it doesn't really matter here. But man, he is getting pushed back into that quarterback. So we talk about anchor. That's something he's got to get stronger. He's got to be able to deal with that power. We saw him in pass protection dealing well with some movement, some stunts. I think he's very aware. But that power, getting overpowered and guys pushing him around is what he is going to need to work on. All right, so we'll go to the Jacksonville matchup. Now, this is going to be basically a zone play here. And they're going to use the tight end on the back side. So that's Sample. And we're going to get to him in a minute here. We'll start on the left to the play side, though. Billy Price is the left guard. He has a 2-eye in front of him, all right? And really, we're getting a combo here with Hopkins and Price. Once again, Hopkins really puts his nose on this right away. But now, because of the technique that guy's playing, it's Price that is going to take it over. Hopkins does a good job of getting up to the next level. So good job initially here. But now, as this thing's is taken over, right, as Price is the guy on it, Hopkins is coming out to the linebacker. Price can't get beat inside, right? His inside help's gone. He's got to realize that, all right? He's got to get that guy to his outside, keep that guy there, and really, that guy comes off and gets involved in the play. On the backside, there's a double tween with Alex Redmond and Bobby Hart. All right, so there is a 3 technique on the outside shoulder of Redmond. Hart's going to get in there, look to reach it. Doesn't really get it reached, but, he's getting a body on there. So, they are setting up a cutback off of that. That's kind of the point of zone, is that you're not really reaching guys. You don't really you want to see butts. All right. As a running back, you want to see butts, because butts are two-way goes. And that's what that's the difference between a zone scheme and a gap scheme. In a gap scheme, you don't have a lot of choices because they're trying to open up one gap for you. In zone, there's a lot more options for cutbacks. And if those guys can stay square and stay engaged, it opens up opportunities for running backs. And if one guy doesn't do their job, it's not necessarily a huge deal if the running back reads it out well. All right. But yeah, they get that pushed along, and Mixon cuts back. Now, what kills this play is Drew Sample. All right. His guy's screaming down the line, and he's, gets engaged on it, but he's not really doing anything to slow it down. So that is really what gets them on. Go a couple plays later in the drive, and we'll go to a pass. All right, so another twist here, right? They're showing, they got 4 down. The tackles are wide, and then they put a guy right on Hopkins. So that guy right on Hopkins, the stand-up guy, that backer, he comes into the A gap. Both Price, the left guard, and Hopkins, step right to it right away. Boom. All right. And then Hopkins comes off because the defensive tackle to that side is twisting and coming in. Price stays with it and does a fine job with it. Okay. Now, another guy comes back around late. Price kind of like puts his arms out and tries to block both of them, which isn't going to work. So, how is this thing going to completely exchange? I mean, I don't know. We got to get deep into the rules of what their pass protection is with that. But I mean, Price in a difficult situation. I think he did a pretty good job. At the end of it, because of all the twists and everything, Redmond's not doing anything. That's not Redmond's fault. That's again, that's the stunt. Without being in their playbook and fully understand what their rules are to adjust to this sort of thing, it's really speculation for me to say anything about that. All right. Okay, so we've seen some guys already work through in the in the guard positions. We've seen Redmond there, we've seen Price there, we've seen Jordan there. So they're working some different guys in and out in those positions. Okay, so we got a bit of a miscue here. All right. But let's look right away at the front. Let's ignore what's going on in the backfield. That's also messed up. So we'll look at the front. And again, we're focusing the left guard, Billy Price. He's got a guy outside. They're really looking to work a double team combo block there up to the next level. And again, Price loses it. He's left alone. He loses it. This time it comes to him. So he really steps and tries to get hip to hip, which you can do and get some drive when you're looking to do like a gap or a down scheme double team like you would in a power play, something like that. But really, he's got to control with the right side of his body. He's got to control with his right arm and not allow this to happen. Besides what's going on in the backfield, that's what really screws up this play. That guy getting right into the backfield right away. All right. So even if the backfield looked like they knew what they were doing, they were going to have a big problem on this one. All right. And really Redmond and Hopkins, it's going to have to be Redmond coming off because of where the backer flows with it. And I don't know, like those guys kind of get that guy turned. It looks like Redmond's eyes are probably buried. He's focused on trying to reach it because it's a one technique. But that's the point of the combo block. When they move, when they stunt, when backers go other directions, you got to be able to read that and come off. He's going to be the one that's going to have to pick that up in this situation. All right, we're going to go a couple plays down the line here. Oh, good a sack. All right. All right. So some funky hand stuff going on the right side, right? Hart sets, does an all right job with it, doesn't get caught up in all the funky hand stuff. But again, he's getting pushed back, right? He's in okay position. Like I said before, he's getting to the hip, which I don't love. I'd like to see more depth, but he's got to anchor. He's got to hold that guy and stop right there instead of bringing him, letting him get in and get closer to that quarterback on that. But now where the sack comes from. All right. So it's a man scheme on that side. It's a zone scheme on the other side. So Redmond, the right guard, is a part of that zone on the left as well. He steps in. They've got an A gap player there. It's really a 2-eye lined up inside of him. Hopkins takes his arm out, in case that guy's stunting around. And then Redmond loses that guy, and that's where the sack's coming from. There's your sack. Redmond not getting it done there. All right. Now Price sets to the 4 technique, gets his hand on, and then gets his eyes in there and really loses that on the twist here. All right, but where he's at's fine because Hopkins is able to pick it up. Hopkins, because he has his focus on helping out Redmond. Was a little bit late getting there, but he's able to push it through. But really, like I said, it's his own scheme. So Price has got the outside, and Hopkins is got the other side there. And that's where that ends up, is over there to Hopkins' side. Hopkins is a weird thing to say. All right, one more in this game, and then we're going to move on to something even uglier. Actually, I'm sorry. I saw Steelers, and I was thinking they're ugly. We're not actually going to the Steelers, though. All right. Changed my notes on me. Looked at a bunch of games, had to whittle it down because I'm the only one crazy enough to want to watch film for hours and hours on end. All right, so we got a pass here. All right, they motion to put Eifert in the backfield and actually give them a little bit more help with this. So this is a full slide with full slide protection. You generally want to have 2 guys on the backside there, and that's where Eifert and Gio Bernard come in. Hart sets to the right. All right, doesn't need to be chasing that. Again, we got a full slide. He's got to know something's coming back. Redmond gets in there and actually anchors pretty well on that 4 technique, who's head up on Hart. All right. Hopkins, again, has his hand to the backside to know, to be able to help out this time with Billy Price. Sees the twist, picks it up, does a really good job with it this time. Price has the 2-eye inside of him. All right. But then he just gets a little bit off balance. All right. You want to strike with your hands. You don't want to strike with your whole upper body. He kind of leans a little bit, and the defensive tackle is able to use his momentum against him and swipe to get past. All right, so that brings us to the Browns matchup in Week 14. The first matchup with the Browns. Pretty late to be playing a team for the first time, but here we are. So that was the one up there in Cleveland. And we're going to start off with a sack. And it is a 3rd down situation. We got Gio on the field helping out with the pass pro. All right, Cordy's back. Hey, there we go. We got a left tackle. So Cordy Glenn in at the left tackle. They've got a stunt going on here. And the wide 9 goes in, and the 4-eye comes to Cordy. All right. Michael Jordan gets a shot out on the 4-eye initially. Gets a little bit farther back than I'd like to see him, but he really, he engaged with the guy just fine. It's Cordy that's not able to hold on, and then loses this thing and gives up the sack. On the other side, and they're really starting with the center with Trey Hopkins. All right, so Hopkins is setting to the right. They've got a backer that's kind of showing on that side. Hopkins sets to the right. Looks like he's going to have a stunt initially. It's another one of those things where they stunt direction. The 3 technique from outside came, and then he looked back around. It was kind of double move D-line stunts that they like to do. So Hopkins is really tracking the whole time, but nothing really comes into his area. Miller, he has the guy go in front of him. That three technique, crosses his face, then he comes back. But in the meantime, he's got there's a wide defensive end on his side that comes in, and he picks it up, but it's really kind of going a little bit more down the line. Hart pass setting again for width. All right, and picks that up on the twist as the thing comes back around. So that was the first quarter. To go on along to the third quarter and look at another one here as we get a look at Randy Bullock. All right, so this is going to be a run now. We got Joe Mixon, and again, it's a zone play. So we'll see how they're improving with the zone looks. Good job, really, by Michael Jordan, kind of understanding. I mean, really, this is a combo block between him and Hopkins, even though it really starts off as a combo block between him and Miller. So let me kind of actually let me start over there, because this is what's going to make it more sense. Make it make more sense. So, really initially, they're thinking Cordy's going to solo on the defensive end. You're gonna have a solo block on the three tech, and you're going to want to really get Hopkins up there to the next level. On the backer, Miller's going to have to reach and block the one technique. All right, so against a combo, but up to the play side backer. All right, that's the declared Mike, the first guy play side. Hopkins, is going to have to take care of the backside, really. And then there's a backside backer. So that's where they got CJ Uzama in there to handle. All right, that's a really good job, actually, by Uzama on that. So we'll start over here on the right side. That makes more sense. Hart blocking out on the defensive end. Those guys do a really good job. All right, so now we've got this combo on the backside one technique up to the play side linebacker. All right, Hart gets in. Miller comes in, very committed to it. All right, and now when Hopkins comes off, he actually ends up taking that three technique. All right, he stunts to the inside. Jordan adjusts and gets up to the linebacker, all right, because the linebacker's flowing wide because the inside gap is taken. That opens up a nice hole from a man, Joe Mixon. All right, very nice little hole for that guy. All right, so getting some good blocks on here. They deal with the stunt. They dealt with movement. Awesome. All right, so good job from Jordan. Hopkins figuring that out. Miller gets a good block. Uzama, Hart, excellent blocks on there. And that's how you make the most out of Joe Mixon. All right. That's a 19-yard run for Joe Mixon. Yeah, they got to decide if they're going to pay this guy coming up here pretty soon. And I'm not saying they should or they shouldn't, but if they're going to pay him, they better be helping him out. They better be opening up some holes for him. And that's what we saw on that one. So look a little bit later in the game. Go to a pass play a little bit later. In this drive actually. Empty look. All right, no back in the backfield. All right, 4 down front. So Cordy's setting to that stand-up end on the left side. Guy probably could have had it if he kept going. Again, Cordy maybe not gaining enough depth. Michael Jordan has a 3 technique. He lets it go. All right, gets the shot in. All right, but they're playing zone here. So he lets it go when it goes to his inside. Looks to help out Cordy in case that's coming to the inside. All right, protecting the B gap, really. All right, Trey Hopkins, as we've seen him do, he zone steps this time to the left. He puts his right arm out to help in that gap however he can. He picks up this guy crossing, does a very good job with it. Miller has got a 2-eye to his inside. He's got to take care of that guy, and he gets pushed back a little bit, right? Again, get stronger, get anchored. He's getting high. That's something we really saw with Hart too. He was getting pushed back, that he was high. Got to have leverage. All right. And then Hart at the right tackle spot, sets out wide. All right. Really kind of stops the guy right about when he gets to his hip. Hart does a pretty good job with that. Again, I want to see these guys set a little bit deeper on that stuff. It's going to put them in a better situation, a better position overall. Stuff. So that brings us to the Miami Dolphins. And, in this game, this was towards the end of the year, and, they were starting to play pretty well. They played pretty well in this game. This was a big Fred Johnson game. It was a big deal when he started the following week, but he played, I think, about 2/3 of this game in relief of Cordy Glenn. So starting with Johnson, and actually, this was a rough one for him, and this was some of the stuff he struggled with on these zone plays. I believe this is Vince Beigel out here. But he gets engaged in those guys, and he was giving up the inside a lot. So he gives up the inside, gets engaged, loses to the outside. But hey, this has ended up being a good play. This is a gain of 8. Mixon's able to cut back. All right. And you've got Michael Jordan at the left guard spot. He's got a 3 technique. Gets in there, all right, and he kind of loses to the inside too, but pretty late. Hopkins does a great job getting up to the blank backer. Awesome job there. Billy Price flipped him over to the right guard. He has got, really, there's a 0 technique on Hopkins. He's got to reach that 0, and he does a pretty good job with that. The guy kind of starts to get off again late. He held him for long enough. Mixon got there. So he did a pretty good job with that as well. And then Hart, he's reaching also, and he not blowing the world away, but gets in there, gets engaged in his guy, and they open up a hole for him. So this is a pretty good rep for the Bengals, and a good run for Mixon. 8-yard gain on the play. So we'll go a little bit later in the quarter. All right. It's going to be an empty look. Cordy Glenn is in on this play. Cordy Glenn pass sets. Again, now he's getting some pretty good depth here, actually. All right. Getting some pretty good depth. Beigel's about at his hip, or I'm not sure who that is, actually. But the edge player is about at his hip. Michael Jordan has got a 3 technique. He sets, gets engaged, anchoring pretty well. All right. And it's really Cordy when that guy's coming inside, struggles with it a little bit. On the other side, Hopkins has a 0. Right in there and engaged with him. All right. But as he kind of works back, he sees this twist coming, and he's able to come off to it, but he's really getting pushed back there. And I think it's just kind of, it was okay for him when he was wide. But when he comes back right in front of Dalton, as he's got that 0 working to the right side, you still got a pocket there, and if you think about it for the name of it, there's still a pocket there. Dalton can step up. He can run if he wants to. All right. And there's room for him to throw, though, most importantly, though. And just kind of at the end, Hopkins gets a little far back, and then when he has to step in front of Dalton to pick that up, that's trouble. All right. That is trouble with a capital T. So that's a problem for them there. Billy Price sets, and now he gets that twist. He ends up picking up the guy that was on Hopkins, and he fights through it, which is what Billy Price does. That's why you drafted Billy Price, because he's a fighter, because he didn't quit on stuff, and he's kind of a mean prick, which is what you want these guys to be. So not a bad job with it. Hart's not really in position to do any kind of anything. All right, and Dalton escapes the pocket. He's able to throw it away. So that's probably a different kind of play with the quarterback they're going to have escaping the pocket for them likely next season. All right, going to the second half, the third quarter. And we got another run. We got a mix and run. Cordy Glenn in the game once again for this one. He's going to be in the backside, though. This one's going to be to the right. So Hart has got a stand-up edge player to the outside. Gets out there, gets engaged with him. Doesn't really get any great movement or anything, but he's where he needs to be with it anyway. All right. Billy Price has got the 3-tech. Good position on him. Really buries him at the end here, actually. Trey Hopkins does a great job getting up to that Mike backer. He's got a 0 technique. Michael Jordan really overplays it when he looking to reach that 0 technique from the left guard spot. And that guy kind of comes back door and is able to get in there and make a play on it. So, Jordan's just got to chill. He's just got to slow it down a little bit, make sure he doesn't outrun the thing. Cordy Glenn has got a 4-eye inside of him, but he is looking to get up to the next level. Too slow. He's got to get up there. He's got to trust CJ Uzama, get a shot in there, and trust Uzama to pick that guy up because they're inserting Uzama in on that. And that's what they need to do. We'll go a little bit later in the quarter. And where's the play I want? A little inside peek at how weird I am when I'm watching film. All right, now we got Fred Johnson back in here. This is going to be a pass play. All right. Hart sets, and it's interesting because there's an edge player right there outside of him, and then the guy comes from a lot wider. So he doesn't get quite as far out wide as he normally is because where his eyes initially are, but he does see that guy coming off the edge. He's able to pick it up. All right. Billy Price is the right guard. He's got nothing right away, but as the guy who's lined up wide outside of Hart stunts to the inside, he's got him. He picks it up. This nose tackle is giving Trey just about all he can handle. All right. So Trey gets a little bit high. We've seen a lot of really good plays out of Trey. This isn't one of them. He just got to anchor himself a little bit better there. Michael Jordan sets. All right. Guy drops off on there. So Jordan and Fred Johnson end up really in the same place on the same guy on that one. All right. We're going to bounce back. All right. Also in this quarter, Fred Johnson in here. We got a run play. Fred Johnson got that guy out wide. Again, we got a stand up edge player. He gets engaged with it this time. He didn't really lose it. Kind of guy comes off a little bit late. Michael Jordan has got a player outside of him, really playing kind of in that gap. Does a great job on it. Gets engaged with it, gets his hips. But again, this has been a thing we've seen with him and with Johnson with these young guys. He's got to control that inside and not let this guy come off. It's late. It's late enough, and mixing bounces, it doesn't really matter. But we got to see that out of him. And now we've got a 1 technique that is going to get reached by the right guard. Hopkins then works right up to the mic. Hopkins is a killer getting up to linebackers. He's doing a great job with that. And really, I think I kind of got better with that all year. And Hart with the reach, just trying to keep that guy from cracking down on it. Opens up just enough for Mixon to squeak by and pick up 9 yards on the play. So overall, they were able to do it enough to get a nice little run on that play. We're going to skip the next play and moving on. Still in the same quarter. Now we got a pass play. All right, and Hart's getting bullied a little bit here. All right, wide player starts to come to the inside. Hart gets bull rushed. All right, the twist ends up not really mattering there with the guard, but the guard really should be coming in and helping him out. But just as a depth matter, he's not able to do that because the right guard doesn't gain any depth initially. All right, so it opens up that gap in there. Trey Hopkins has got an A gap player opposite, gets his feet wide and just basically does the splits and gets worked over there. But holds the guy off for just long enough. But this guy was giving Hopkins a tough time in pass protection. Michael Jordan sets his guy, doesn't even really come. But he's standing there the whole time, so he can't really help out Hopkins, because if he does, that guy goes. They got nobody to help out with it. And then Fred Johnson setting kind of opens up the gate a little bit on it, like gain a little bit more depth. And you can do that with his own scheme because he's really only responsible for the outside. But that guy's coming deep and probably too deep. But that's how it gets by there. All right, so that brings us to Browns round 2. And we're going to start in the second quarter. Start with a run play. This is full-time Freddie Johnson starting. I think he played 99% of the snaps in this game. Again, he does the same thing that we kind of talked about. He's going to need to work on. Lets that guy off late to the inside. Excuse me. Actually, this time it's to the outside, but so he still kind of pushes him down. He leans a little bit, which leaning is the problem that he has when he lets guys off to the inside as well. I actually, like in my notes, I did the eyeball emoji for Michael Jordan and Trey Hopkins on this one. There's a 2-eye on Jordan, and they both get a great shot on him initially and push him way back. But unfortunately, it's like they pushed him too far back, and neither one really recovered from that very well. Jordan comes off to the linebacker, ends up picking it up eventually, but just a little funky coming off. Hopkins is the guy that stays on it, but he does let that guy off, and the guy is involved in the 2-eye is involved in the tackle. We've got a reach block by John Miller at the right guard that you'd like to see him holding a little bit longer. An awesome block by Uzama as he inserts, boom, on Mac Wilson, but he needs to hold it, all right, because he gets in there, he gets the shot, and Mac Wilson bounces right off. So awesome block, gotta hold it, all right. Good job filling, gotta hold it on that block. Probably wasn't expecting that to come immediately to him, and then Hopkins just protecting the edge on the backside there. So some good things on there. They end up getting 4 yards in the play. I'll take 4 yards whenever I can get it. But definitely some things to improve on there. So we're going to work on to the inside the 2-minute warning. First play of their possession for the 2-minute warning. And as you would expect, yes, we are getting a pass. So Johnson sets to the outside, guy stunts back. All right, again, somebody comes in, somebody's coming back around to you. All right, and this guy loops around from the inside. Johnson's there for it. Michael Jordan picks up that edge player as he comes to the inside. And Jordan's there for the guy coming inside, and so is Hopkins. And good job clearing hands with Miller. Getting a little farther back than I'd like, but whatever. You can live with it. You can survive with it. Hart does a good job as well. Again, I'd like to see just a little bit more depth, kind of gets to the hip. But hey, this is a nice little play. It's pretty quick play, but that's some good pass protection overall from this group on that play. So as we move along, we will go into the fourth quarter, and we're going to take a look at a touchdown run by Joe Mixon. Nice to see touchdowns and not sacks, isn't it? All right. So, Fred Johnson and CJ Uzama, who is lined up actually in a 3-point stance on the line of scrimmage on this play. They've got an outside edge player, and they've like an off the ball edge player, and then they've got an edge player lined up, head up right there on Uzama. So they're going to combo onto him. Fred Johnson ends up not even having to block that guy as he gets up there. Uzama kind of stalemating. A little bit of a late shift there. Hopkins and Michael Jordan working up to Mac Wilson, who is so they end up having like a 2 pretty much head up on Michael Jordan, the left guard. Maybe a really heavy 2-eye. Yeah, I'll call it a 2-eye. So they're going to have to combo that all the way to Mac Wilson, who is lined up over the tackle, right? I would call that a 40. Add a 0 to the end. You can describe linebacker techniques that way. So Hopkins coming off releasing real wide. Jordan getting some movement on that. Hopkins able to get up to Mac Wilson. That's a good job. Now, because they've declared the Mike linebacker as being that guy way out there in the 40. Now the guy in the 10 week is the backside backer. All right, so that means the backside players have got to get to him, and that's going to be Hart and Miller. With that late shift, they end up having a 2-eye inside of Miller. Miller takes that. Hart works right up to the next level and gets the block on the backer. All right. And they're not blocking the edge player. It's his own read. He stays square. All right. What's his own read? It's not a read. It's an unless. You give the ball off unless that guy's going to make the play. Or unless you're Lamar Jackson, then there's different rules if you're to keep the ball. But when you're Andy Dalton, you give the ball unless that guy's going to make the tackle. So, hey, there you go. That's a touchdown. That's a fourth quarter touchdown right there for the Bengals. And we are, we're moving along there. And putting them, extending really the lead late in the game. We'll take a look at one more play here. If you're listening to this whole thing, thank you very much. Good to know that there are other people that are this obsessed with film as I am, and who value the things that I am saying. Really appreciate every one of you. So another zone play, another run for Mixon. All right, Fred Johnson gets out there, gets the shot. All right, getting a good block on the wide player, the edge player there. All right, there's a 1 technique. That's going to be a combo from the 1 technique to the 30 linebacker. All right, on the backside there. Jordan really just kind of puts a hand on it and gets up to the linebacker. Good job there. And Trey Hopkins takes it over. Okay, so again, that means the other linebacker is the backside backer. That week, that 10 week, he's going to be the backside backer. So Miller and Hart have got to worry about that, just like we saw in the goal line play. Miller ends up taking the 3 technique. Hart works up to the backer. Now, this is an interesting one because Uzama's blocking backside, and there is an unblocked, unaccounted for safety in the box. I don't know who that is. I'm assuming it's a safety because he's skinny. But Mixon sees that, and really, like, the right cut is to go off hard spot. But when he sees that, he gets real skinny, whoop, and he pops right on through there. He bulldozes over one would-be tackler, another safety, bam, knocks him down, and that's a 28-yard gain. I mean, that's an awesome run. So, hey, look, I'm not trying to pick out Joe Mixon plays here. I'm looking at plays that are good examples of the things that are going on. And go figure, the run blocking got better, and we started seeing good plays on Mixon here at the end of the film, at the end of the year. So definitely saw some improvements out of this group. Still would like to see some competition. Definitely, and Duke Tobin said it. It was interesting in the interview. Duke Tobin said specifically when asked about eliminating certain positions in the draft, he said, "Well, if there's a really good offensive lineman there, we're not going to pass on it." So that kind of tells you that Taylor's saying, "Hey, we're better than you think." Maybe they feel that way. Maybe they're not prioritizing that position, but there's some good tackles in this draft. And we're seeing that with Jones. Mekhi Becton is a guy that's been real popular on the internet. Some of these guys that they're not those guys like Wills and Wirfs, and not necessarily Thomas, not necessarily going to be in the first round. Like that's a lot. That ends up being a lot of tackles. So there could be somebody pretty good there at 33. Who knows? I mean, who knows? 8 tackles could go in the first round. Crazier things have happened, but there's an opportunity for something to be there. So it's nice to know that even if they're not prioritizing as much as we may think they should, that they're not saying it's not going to happen. At least it's something. It's good to know that they're keeping an open mind about it. So, look, there was definitely some development here. These guys started to come along. I think Jim Turner did a good job with this group over the course of the season. Ben Martin, his assistant as well. Those guys did a good job. Not as fast as we would like. Didn't come all as quick as we like. Obviously, we would have loved to have Bowling and Jonah Williams in there. So, how different is this season? How different is our feelings about this offensive line and about, Jim Turner if those guys are around? So, looking at the progression, you see some good things. There's some things to be optimistic about. Hopefully, that continues moving forward. So I am Matt Minich once again for Orange and Black Insider. Thank you for joining me. Lots of great stuff, great draft content, going on Cincy Jungle right now, and it's just gonna keep building. Regardless of what the Bengals are saying, I think we all know who the first pick is going to be. But 33 is going to be a lot of fun. And there's a lot more stuff to talk about. So make sure you're following us. Our own John Sheeran, if you're a loyal listener and reader, as you know, is down there in Mobile this week. So some great stuff coming out from him. Give him a follow. And we will be back here next Thursday and every Thursday. Go Bengals.